Let's bring in the Deputy Vice-Chancellor International at the University of Melbourne, Professor Michael Wesley. Professor Wesley, thanks as always for your time. This investigation from the get-go was about more than just the origins of the pandemic. There's so much at play here in terms of geopolitics as well.
Absolutely. As you and I have discussed many times before, Kieran, this pandemic has been weaponised, if you like, with China and the United States accusing each other over the pandemic. We had Donald Trump this time last year talking about the China virus and China returning fire, arguing that the virus had actually originated in an American biological laboratory. So this will continue. I don't think the WHO report tells us anything that we didn't know already. As the report actually, your reporter actually said, I think what is really surprising is that the WHO has come out so clearly and said that China has been insufficiently cooperative with the investigation.
Professor Wesley, let's look at a few other issues today. Myanmar, we saw the claims that Thailand had sent some people back home, refugees, as the crackdown continues. But while the military crackdown continues, it seems the resilience and the determination of the people continues unabated in Myanmar.
That's right. And I think it's, for one, it's taken the Burmese military by surprise. I don't think they've faced such sustained and unrelenting popular protest for a long time. And I think the brutality that we're seeing against their own people is the sort of warfare that they've been carrying out against minority ethnic groups in Myanmar's borderlands for decades now. So these are tried and true tactics, if you like, from the Myanmar military. What I would say about the protesters is that there are some really intriguing parallels between these protests in Myanmar and the protests in Thailand themselves, the use of the three-finger salute, directly borrowing that. But I would have to say that they probably are also taking heart and taking inspiration from the protests that occurred in Hong Kong over the past year or so. Those unrelenting protests, if you like, that refused to be cowed by military force and really quite draconian measures as well. So who knows how long these protesters will continue to protest in the face of this unbelievable force. But it's a remarkable event, and I think this will be a major turning point in Myanmar's history.
Yeah, and with the protests continuing despite the violence and the crackdown, some analysis has suggested that it's only one, maybe a couple of generals that need to be dealt with, basically, in order to change the military position. You know, I guess moments in history can rest upon one or two people being either challenged or overthrown. There's a lot at stake here for the future of that country in that sense.
Yes, look, what the events of the past decade have shown us is that there are very different views within the Myanmar military about what role the military should be playing in society. Obviously, some years ago when they basically dissolved the junta and agreed to free and fair elections, there was a belief that Myanmar's interests were best served by becoming a democracy and having a democratically elected government. Obviously, about 5 years of experience of democratic government and dissatisfaction with the military's views being sufficiently taken into account has led to the current coup and the current brutality against the protesters. So, look, the politics within Myanmar military have always been murky. Very hard to read what's going on there, but it's quite possible that there would be senior members of the Myanmar military saying, we are not comfortable with this direction, we are not comfortable with the position we're being put in.
And finally, as we look to the United States, a precarious moment for the US off the back of the trial happening in Minneapolis.
That's right. This was always going to be a highly emotive, highly divisive trial for all of those who are passionately in favour of the conviction of Derek Chauvin for murder of George Floyd. There will be a lot of people who believe that the trial is unfairly targeting an officer of the law. So America continues to be a divided country. It continues to divide even more starkly, despite having had a change of presidency, despite having had a moderate, someone who's trying to bring the sides together, come to the White House. You would really have to think that it may be beyond the capacity of any president, conceivably, to bring the divisions in America to an end and bring about a unification of views in that country.
Indeed, looks very problematic. Once again, Professor Wesley, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kieran.